quickly look at the Prism.K12 strategy of compare and what that means. The Prism.K12 definition is to study similarities and differences. So the VTS that I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to do very literal VTS. I'm going to do it exactly as it's designated in the VTS curriculum. So VTS is the three questions. It's what's going on in this painting, what do you see that makes you say that, and what more can we find? And so there are multiple right answers. In fact, with VTS, it's one of the very few areas in the world where there are no wrong answers. So tonight we're going to compare two paintings by artists who represented the impact of World War I on themselves and their communities. The armed forces are represented in both paintings, and we can talk a little bit about, after VTS, we can talk a little bit about how you might extend it farther in the classroom. So are you ready to dive in? What's going on in this painting?
It looks like they're in their barracks, and some people seem to be sleeping, some mending, and some writing.
So what you see is you think this might be barracks, and you see people doing different things. You see somebody sleeping, you see somebody mending or sewing, and you see somebody maybe writing home.
It also would seem to me that it's in a period that's not recent because the candle lights are being used as the source of light.
So you see candles here, and so that makes you think that this is not of recent times. Those were fantastic observations, everybody. Okay, so what's going on in this painting?
I would say it's a parade or something, because if you were a mother with your child or baby and it was anything dangerous, you wouldn't be gazing out there. So based on the position of the mother with the two children and then the other family that's standing on the lawn to the lower left, they look like they're watching some kind of a parade. The flags are in, to me, a formation, and you would think that there would be blanks or something where they just salute in some kind of ceremony.
Okay, and what do you see that makes you say that people don't look frightened?
Because the mother is gazing, holding her child in her arms. She's not in a position of flight. She seems like she's resting and observing. And then there's the two people, and then there are people on the lawn. It looks like in that area and over to the right that they're watching the parade or they're watching the procession or whatever. And the way the flags are lined up in pairs and then on the other side.
So you're saying that this to you doesn't look like a war scene or a battle scene, because everybody seems much too relaxed for something like that.
Correct. And their poses are, I mean, they're not running, they're not.
Right. There are no diagonal lines other than these down here that would tell us that anyone's moving in any direction.
Correct.
Pretty still and seemingly relaxed.
And it looks like people are in the window in the building.
Oh, over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're noticing people over here in the window too as well, watching. I'm curious if you all could get into a compare conversation. So what was similar about those two paintings? What was different about those two paintings?
So when you put them next to each other, I think the differences were so stark in terms of the tone and the colors, but also where the Horace Pippin focuses on the individuals, the soldiers as the individuals, and the other focuses on that family unit as the individuals, and you get that detail there. They're definitely focusing on a different perspective of maybe a similar event or around the same historical event, but from very different perspectives.
I also think there's a stark contrast between the concept of serving in the war as a soldier versus the pomp and circumstance of civilians celebrating the military. I mean, it's to me, that's really the strength of the contrast of what's different.
The Horace Pippin painting, like a couple of you have mentioned, was painted actually after Pippin's return from war. It was sort of, he used art as therapy to sort of process his feelings about having fought in the war. He was injured in the war and very badly, and didn't think he would ever be able to paint again. And when he came home, he said the war brought out the art in him. And when he got home from the war, he came home and just painted and painted and painted scenes of everyday life during the war. And I feel like that's so Horace Pippin, because that's what he did. He painted scenes of everyday life. Contrasting that to the Gifford Beal, Gifford Beal went to military school, but that was about as close as he got to fighting in the war. His painting was more about making a statement. Like somebody pointed out, his painting really was about making a statement about the impact that the war had on the families who were left behind. The town of Newburgh is a little town outside of New York City on the Hudson, and it was a place where Gifford Beal spent a lot of summers, and so he was very aware of the impact of the men not being there. The part about Horace Pippin's bio and Gifford Beal, that all of that stuff was tacked on at the end after we did the VTS exercises. So you could have just done the visual thinking strategies and had them do their claims, evidence, and reasoning, and then or just having them do claims and evidence and having them write what their reasoning is.